Data from international organizations shows that global temperatures for December and January were the hottest on record. The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says all the hottest months have occurred since 2015. How does this impact on our lives? Well, joining me now is Professor Francois Engelbrecht from Wits University. Very good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here.
So we're getting hotter and hotter. What do we read into that other than we are clearly failing?
Yes, we are indeed most definitely living in the days of global warming. The last 5 years are also the warmest 5 years on record since measurements began in 1850. 2019 was the second warmest year ever measured by humans. 2016 remains the warmest year. But this past January, we've in fact recorded the warmest January on record. December was the second warmest December on record. And here in South Africa, if we look at the 2019 annual average temperature, we've broken the all-time records across the entire western part of southern Africa, from Angola southwards over Namibia and Botswana and our own Northern Cape province. So indeed, global warming is certainly with us. There's evidence that it's accelerating. And unfortunately, as you've just rightly said, we are failing to take action. 2019 was also the record-breaking year in terms of continued carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere.
And is this happening because of us or despite us?
Yes, no, global warming is most certainly a consequence of what we are doing as humans on the planet, the way we live our lives, our dependency on fossil fuels, the continued burning of coal and oil across the world, and the continued deforestation. These are the main causes of global warming.
What worries me is that we know of climate change, we know of global warming, actions are being taken, and yet it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. So what is it that's missing? I mean, you've highlighted the issues, but why are we not able to tackle this?
The science has indeed been clear for at least 2 decades that we as humans, through the way that we generate energy on the planet, are the main cause of global warming. But indeed, we have failed to take action over those last 2 decades. And because of that, it's now becoming increasingly difficult to turn this process of global warming around. So effectively, every single year counts now. So every year that we continue to pump carbon dioxide into the atmosphere at an accelerated rate, it becomes more and more difficult to avoid the most dangerous impacts of climate change.
I mean, you wonder what it's going to take. I mean, there will be something like a tsunami or something horrific that'll just wipe out a nation that might make people sit up, or something even worse. Can we turn it around?
It is certainly true that as extreme climate events are increasing across the globe, there will of course be increased pressure on governments to take stronger action in terms of climate change mitigation. But right now what we need is a complete change in our socio-economic system on the planet, specifically how we generate energy. Such a change cannot be easily achieved, and it is also probably true that on the short term we need to accept costs to many of our economies. So the big question is whether humans can accept costs on the short term, can make some rather radical changes on the short term, in order to avoid the most catastrophic impacts of climate change deeper into the future. And
obviously droughts and all of that exacerbate the problem, or the problem exacerbates the drought, and it's often the poorest of the poor that suffer the most.
Yes, and our own region is a very good example of this. So our region has a natural tendency of drifting in and out of drought every few years or so. So Southern Africa is naturally a warm and dry region. We get these multi-year droughts from time to time, but now as a consequence of climate change, these droughts are occurring in significantly warmer conditions than in the past. So a drought is now coupled to more intense and longer-lasting heat waves than ever before, which means the impacts of drought in our region are on the increase as a consequence of regional climate change and regional warming.
Frightening. Francois Engelbrecht, thank you.